Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Kingsbury. Today we're going to do another Brian Reads the News segment. This is brought to us by mentalfloss.com. It's titled 20 Things You Might Not Know About Freaks and Geeks. The show only had one season, but it left a lasting mark. This is by Amanda Green, published March 11th, 2024. Fact number 1. John Francis Daly, Sam Wire, was the only cast member playing a character his or her age. Daly was 14 in real life and on TV. Linda Cardellini, then 24, played his 16-year-old sister, Lindsay. Sam Levine, Martin Starr, and Seth Rogen were all 17. Jason Segel was 19. Bizu Phillips and James Franco were 20 and 21, respectively. Fact number 2, the camera crew was under strict orders to make scenes look drab. Freaks and Geeks takes place in fictional Chippewa, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. The crew used green and gray tinted lights to achieve so-called Midwestern colors on the shows set in California. They also avoided shooting outdoors whenever possible. Fact number 3, most of the show's budget was spent on music. The show's 18 episodes featured snippets of more than 120 songs, including Joan Jett's Bad Reputation in the opening credits. It set the tone for the show, but it wasn't cheap. Clearing songs by Van Halen, Kiss, and The Who, just to name a few, required a lot of paperwork and ate up much of the show's budget. It also later delayed the DVD release. Fox removed most of the music when it picked up Freaks and Geeks reruns to avoid paying extra fees. One song that got away, Neil Young's Only Love Can Break Your Heart. When producers couldn't get the licensing rights for episode 15, they replaced it with Dean Martin's You're Nobody Till Somebody Loves You. Fact number 4, executive producer Judd Apatow might not have worked on Freaks and Geeks at all. He took the job after Fox didn't pick up his pilot Sick in the Head, a sitcom about a rookie psychiatrist's first days working the psych ward. David Krumholtz was the cast as the lead, and pre-SNL Amy Poehler played one of his suicidal patients. Fact number 5, creator Paul Feig started his career as an actor. He and Apatow met in the LA comedy circuit in the mid-1980s and worked together on the set of the 1995 film comedy Heavyweights, which Apatow wrote with Stephen Brill. The TGIF fans might remember Feig as Eugene Poole, Sabrina's biology teacher on the first season of ABC TV's Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Fact 6. Feig's inspiration for the show was his own life and a 14-part West German TV miniseries called Berlin Alexanderplatz. The 1980 miniseries is about an outcast, a man trying to make a new life for himself after accidentally killing his lover and serving 4 years in prison. It's based on the 1929 novel by Alfred Doblin. Fact 7. Judd Apatow hired 24-year-old Jake Kasdan to direct the pilot without ever seeing his work. Kasdan had written and directed just one movie, the detective flick Zero Effect. Apatow was aware of his work because the two men shared an agent. He hired Kasdan on the agent's advice and watched the movie the next day. Fortunately, things worked out. Kasdan has since found steady work as an executive producer on New Girl and directing films like Orange County and Bad Teacher. Fact 8. Everything on the show actually happened to Feig or one of the show's writers. To jumpstart the writing process, Feig had writers fill out questionnaires about their own experience in high school. Questions included, what was the best thing that happened to you in high school? What was the most humiliating thing that happened to you in high school? What's the first sexual thing you ever did? The answers were used to create the show. Fact 9. Well, except for episode 17, The Little Things that was inspired by the Howard Stern show. Spoiler alert, neither Feig nor any of the writers had ever dated someone with ambiguous genitalia like Ken, Seth Rogen, did in episode 17. Instead, Judd Apatow got the idea while listening to Howard Stern. At this point, everyone was pretty sure Freaks and Geeks wouldn't be renewed. Apatow told Vanity Fair, quote, "In a way, it was an FU to NBC. Like, now we're going to really get ambitious and aggressive with storylines that you would never approve if the show had a chance of surviving." Fact 10. Timing, in this case bad timing, was everything. Freaks and Geeks premiered on September 25th, 1999 in one of NBC's deadliest time slots, Saturdays at 8 p.m. To make things worse, it wasn't aired continuously. The show was taken off air during the World Series in October and later put in a new time slot against ABC's then red-hot Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Reviews were great, but Freaks and Geeks couldn't keep an audience. The producers created a website for the show, hoping that it would keep fans engaged and aware of upcoming episodes. The bigwigs at NBC refused to share the URL on ads because they didn't want to promote internet use over watching TV. Fact 11. The show's finale was written and filmed in the middle of the season. NBC originally ordered 13 episodes of Freaks and Geeks. With the threat of a cancellation looming, Feig wrote and directed the finale, Discos and Dragons, so that the show could end on a strong note. Then NBC ordered 5 more episodes, so that pushed the finale forward a few weeks. 3 of these episodes never aired until Fox syndicated the show. Fact 12. Freaks and Geeks was a critical darling, but won only 1 Emmy for Outstanding Casting in a Comedy Series. Casting is one of the Creative Arts Emmy categories awarded in a ceremony held separately from all the acting awards. Paul Feig was also nominated for his Outstanding Writing for a Comedy Series, both in 2000 for the series pilot and in 2001 for the finale, but he came up short both times. Fact 13. Speaking of casting, here are a few ways the show could have been very different. Jesse Eisenberg, later of The Social Network, was nearly cast as Sam Weir. Busy Phillips, Kim Kelly, originally auditioned for the role of Lindsay Ware. A few almost cast. Lizzie Kaplan of Masters of Sex auditioned for the roles of Kim Kelly and Lindsay. Lauren Ambrose of 6 Feet Under also auditioned for Lindsay, and Shia LaBeouf tried out for the part of Neil Schreiber. NBC pressured the show's producers to stunt cast celebrities in small roles to attract viewers. Britney Spears was one suggestion. They refused. Fact 14. Sam Levine, Neil Schreiber, William Shatner impersonation helped him get the part. But not because it was good. Judd Apatow thought it was hilariously bad, exactly like something a geek would do. Fact 15. The cast was encouraged to pursue their own writing. During some downtime on set, Feig and Apatow showed James Franco how they brainstormed and wrote scenes. Jason Segel and Seth Rogen improvised new jokes when they rehearsed on weekends. Instead of taking GED correspondence courses while filming, Rogen started writing his first screenplay, Superbad. Fact 16. The cast and crew stuck with the theme for the series Rap Party. Instead of your typical Hollywood soiree, the party's theme was a high school prom in 1980. Everyone wore late 70s formal wear except Busy Phillips, who wore the dress she wore to her real junior prom. Paul Feig even had special class rings made for himself and Judd Apatow. Fact 17. Paul Feig brainstormed some of the storylines for Season 2. What might have seen in Freaks and Geeks hadn't been cancelled. Feig imagined something bad happening to Lindsay while she was following the Grateful Dead, ultimately destroying her parents' trust. Sam was going to find his voice as a drama geek, while Neil joined the school chorus. Who's geekier now? Bill now would become a late blooming jock under the care of Coach Fredericks, who might have become his stepfather. The Freaks had more serious plot twists ahead. Daniel would end up in jail, Nick would probably join the army after graduation, and Ken's fate was never quite clear. There's still some hope that Freaks and Geeks might come back someday, albeit with a new cast. Feig said he'd love to see a musical adaptation. Fact 18. Feig later wrote 2 memoirs. The book Kick Me, Adventures in Adolescence, published in 2002, revisits the teen angst that made Freaks and Geeks so funny and relatable. 3 years later, Feig recalled his painfully chaste early adulthood in Super Stud, or How I Became a 24-Year-Old Virgin. Fact number 19. After Freaks and Geeks, Feig and Apatow went their separate ways in the world of TV. Apatow became the executive producer and creator of Fox sitcom Undeclared, which was also canceled after 1 season. He hired Seth Rogen as a staff writer and put other Freaks and Geeks cast members in reoccurring roles. In 2001, Apatow wrote another pilot about struggling actors for Fox called North Hollywood. Seth Rogen, Jason Segel, and Kevin Hart all had roles. In a cast of life imitating art, the show wasn't picked up. Soon after, he became a Hollywood heavyweight with box office hits like The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up. Feig wrote one episode of Undeclared. After that, he worked as the co-executive producer of The Office and Nurse Jackie, directed multiple episodes of Arrested Development and Weeds. And finally, fact 20, Feig and Apatow didn't team up again until Bridesmaids in 2011. It became the highest grossing R-rated female comedy ever, not to mention the highest grossing film of Apatow's very successful career. Now the two are said to be working on another romantic comedy to be written and directed by Feig. There you have it, another successful Brian Reads the News segment. 20 things you might not know about Freaks and Geeks. If you enjoyed this one, please take a second to give this one a big thumbs up. Go ahead and like the video now. And if you really enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing to the channel.